is a four-wheel drive expedition that has it all. From high elevation camping to four-wheel driving along a razor's edge.
What an awesome spot to four-wheel drive, like just insane.
And we'll face plenty of challenges along the way.
You've definitely done something. There's brake fluid everywhere.
So buckle up, as this could be your next adventure to the Victorian High Country.
Alright, so we're back into it, back for another trip in the high country. This one's going to be bloody awesome. We're going to some of the best spots. We're doing probably some pretty hard tracks, the hardest for this one since we've done the rebuild. And we've got a great crew with us. We've got a bit of Talbotville Nissan rivalry behind us. We've got Rob from Raslarr and his two sons, Lincoln and River. They're both driving, so River's still on the L plates, as you'll see, but he's taken the hold of the big GQ. Lincoln's in his 105 series, it's been freshly built up. It's looking awesome. So really excited to see how the boys go. But yeah, for now, we'll just get into it, get going to the first track.
Our first destination is the top of the mighty Mount Murray, but to get there, we're gonna have to tackle some steep spur tracks that will take us up out of the valley and into the mountains.
So we got a little steep sort of shaly section here. Just gonna go first gear low and we'll see how we go. It's a pretty decent sized rocks here.
The track appears to be pretty loose, so hopefully I can find some grip to get me up it.
Oh, bit slippery. See how the other boys do.
This one's a bit of a steep one.
Now this is the first time doing some tougher tracks since the rebuild, so I'm super keen to see how it goes.
Plenty of traction on those tyres, inflated nice and low.
It'll also be the first time Rob's son River has done some high country wheeling in the driver's seat.
Oh no, this is a nice steep little rocky bit. Yeah. Don't have to go super quick, just let it more. It'll wheel spin a bit, but it'll crawl. Don't back off, just keep the momentum, keep the rev. You'll go. Do you get me scared, Robert? Well, all good.
Now the last car to come up is Link in his 105, and like Liam, he doesn't have diff locks.
Only one not to make her up.
Got a little bit caught up. I'm going to have another go, Lincoln.
Lincoln had another crack with a bit more speed, but it was clear that something wasn't working and he wasn't getting enough traction, so we opted to let a little bit more air out of the tyres. And sure enough, that little bit of extra grip makes all the difference.
That's much better. Oh, Team Nissan gets a point.
Well, that just goes to show tyre pressures are everything. All it took was 5 PSI and it made all the difference. The other boys had the cheat codes on. I think Rob had the front locker on, Paddy had the front locker on, so they did it, no worries.
So Riv, are these hours going towards your logbook for your learners?
Oh, I don't know, I probably shouldn't write them down. It's not exactly road driving. It's funny on the little app, you've got, night, day, wet. I'm not quite sure what bit you click on the app for this one.
Yeah, as long as you're behind the wheel, it counts as far as I'm concerned.
Great car to learn in this one, because being that it's twin locked and that hill, when it started to get it, slip a little bit, you can just put a locker in that just drives and gives you heaps of confidence in what you can climb and what you can do.
Oh, how's the views as you come up here? Awesome. Just see right all the way out. So sick.
Tell you what a view. It doesn't matter where you go in the whole country, I reckon Victoria, it's the best.
Yeah, the mountainous regions are just off their head. It's so cool.
What a view!
High country never disappoints.
But at the bottom of the hill, I had a suspicion that something wasn't right with the 80.
I almost guarantee that's what it is.
Oh, you've definitely done something. There's brake fluid everywhere.
I reckon it's a caliper.
It's leaking out of the caliper.
Yeah, like a seal shut itself or something.
Now, when I did the brake upgrade, I never rebuilt or replaced the factory 30-year-old rear calipers, and then since the car sat for 6 months undriven during the rebuild, I figured it could have been something to do with that.
Could be that the pad's like worn down or been...
Oh, too far gone. It's pushed the piston all the way out.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what had happened. The piston in the caliper wasn't returning properly, and in turn had destroyed the brake pad and pushed itself out into the rotor and was leaking brake fluid.
So the final solution, vice grip on the brake line.
You reckon the King Chrome thing will be able to handle that, Liam?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
So he topped up the brake fluid, got the wheel back on, and headed cautiously back out onto the tracks.
So a bit of a hold up there from the 80. Another point for the Nissans.
As I said, this is why we're doing these shakedown trips, you know, to make sure, because things are going to go wrong. Like when the car sits for that long and doesn't get driven, you take it out, start doing tracks, stuff's going to come up. So it's pretty much just getting all these teething issues sorted before we start doing the big trips.
Alright, so we're turning on to Mount Murray South track, and this will start taking us up towards the summit. So I'm keen. I can't wait to see the view of the top. I reckon it's going to be wicked. Already the views are just insane.
Yeah, it's bloody incredible.
You hear about Blue Rag, you don't hear much about Mount Murray, and my God, that's incredible.
But unfortunately, we were stopped right in our tracks.
The road is closed. I'm not sure why. The summit is just out there, very close to it. So what a bummer that we couldn't get all the way up there. But I mean, this is still cool, but yeah, oh well, what do you do, eh? Well, we couldn't get up to the summit, but we're gonna stop and make some lunch here anyway. The views are pretty killer, so still a good spot regardless. Yeah, not a bad spot though. Not a bad spot at all.
So after our awesome lunch spot, we made our way down off Mount Murray and onto the very scenic Twins Jeep track, which led us to the Dargo High Plains Road, and then onto one of the most iconic tracks in the Victorian High Country.
All right, here we go, Blue Rag Range track. Perfect day for it, I'm keen, let's do it.
When you're driving without lockers, you've really got to use momentum to your advantage, so I had to hit these wombat holes with a little bit of pace.
Oh, there we go, got it.
Needs to be a bit harder than that, I reckon.
Don't have to go quick, just let it walk. It'll literally just walk through this like smooth as silk. Let it go, just let it go. It's alright, just let it go. Perfect, how cool is that?
Easy.
Now was the 80s turn, and with a front locker and heaps of flex, it had no issues tackling this.
Easy, didn't even break a sweat.
We continued along the ridge line towards the summit, battling the wombat holes along the way.
Bit of a wheel lift there.
Yeah, I figured it might do a bit of a lift.
This is actually quite rutted out. This is probably the worst I've seen Blue Rag in the 2 times I've done it.
It's really good experience to do all this in the dry, because
Yeah, in the
you
wet
get
it'd
all
be
that,
crazy.
the climb and all of what the car does, but there's plenty of traction, so it doesn't feel, you know, this sort of stuff in the wet, you've got to do it at a heaps bigger commitment.
Yeah.
Climbing up out onto the ridge line. What an awesome day.
It is iconic. You can see why there's so many people wanting to do it. Like it's pretty wild to have a road on top of a ridgeline like this. It's bloody incredible.
Bit rip? Yeah, it's sort of on there, buddy. It's pretty wild, isn't it?
You really don't want to fall off the edge here.
I was literally just having that conversation with River there. You just watch the road here. There's no forgiveness on this bit.
Alright, it's probably
Have a look down here.
No, I don't want to, I'm alright. I'm fine looking forward.
This is almost the last bit of the climb, right up to the tip, a steep section, and it just, yeah.
It's a pretty daunting, like, looking at it from here. Look, it's the actual climb isn't anything crazy, but they're just there.
Just stop talking about it.
Just put your rear on, just because. It's actually not a bad climb. It's just its position. Yeah, just go nice and slow and then.
Whoa, fuck, it's been moving around.
You don't know. It's nice and smooth, that's it. Sick. It's pretty steep with just 2 cliffs next to you.
What an awesome spot to 4-wheel drive. Like, just insane. And then up to the top. How good. So we've made it to the top of Blue Rag, right up at the summit. We've got like just the most ideal conditions.
Yeah.
Like it's just, you can see literally as far as the eye can see, like the first time I came up, I was passenger in your car and it was completely fogged out. So
Yeah,
you didn't see
exactly
any of
right.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, you don't actually realise how crazy it is.
yeah.
As far as your eyes can focus, there's still
pretty much.
mountains. It's incredible.
Yeah.
This is a random question. Is my car making any smells that you, Rob and River, can you smell anything funky?
Yeah, it smells very like brakes.
Yeah, that might be what it is.
Mate, we're gonna have two cars with no brakes this trip.
Smoking up there, like where your handbrake bit is.
Yeah, there's a lot of smoke coming out of your handbrake. I reckon your handbrake's jammed on or something, dude.
Unless I did have it on.
You just drug your handbrake on for like the whole way down.
Works, so.
That's 1 point down for Nissan.
Yeah, she'll be pretty warm. It's alright, because it's at least because it's a Nissan handbrake, it'll still work even
Oh, come on.
Yeah, with the Toyota, we had to disable the brake.
Maybe I had it on.
That's 2 points.
So hopefully with all the dramas behind us, we made our way towards camp for the night.
I tell you what, you don't come across camps like this very often. This is absolutely ridiculous. Oh, this would have to be one of like this is definitely in my top 5,
Oh, 100%.
probably top 3.
Probably my top one.
Top 1, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, you're gonna get some very good views tomorrow
I'm
morning.
gonna have the best night's sleep ever. And imagine if it's like a starry night, because I can have this open and see the sky from side
true.
on. Like, it's gonna be off its head.
I can't remember the last bad camp spot we actually stayed at. Like, we were on a pretty good run.
Yeah, we're pretty good wicket. Even the ones we stayed at just in the Buller region the other weekend were pretty good. All right, so all set up at camp. It's getting a bit dark and it's time to put some dinner on. So tonight I've decided something, you know, we're actually in the Alpine region, which is a bit cold now. It's the first time I've been chilly, I reckon, all like this year. So we're gonna do a bit of a sort of warm up meal, a bit of a hearty meal. We're gonna do a cottage pie. Pretty much we'll just start with some stuff I diced up, some onion, some garlic. We'll get that going in the pan over there. And then we can slowly add everything together and let it sit for a bit. And then hopefully we'll end up with something pretty tasty. All right, so we're going a kilo of beef mince, which is what makes it a cottage pie and not a shepherd's. If it's lamb, then it's a shepherd's pie. So we'll just brown that off. 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, which I found conveniently, these little sachets are 2 tablespoons, 2 cups of beef stock, tin of carrot, peas and corn, heaps of salt, pepper, and a tiny bit of flour to help it thicken. Stir that together. And then you only want to heat it from the bottom. So I'll shovel some coals out. We'll let it cook for like close to an hour. All right, so she's been cooking away for probably the better part of an hour. All the boys are probably getting starving. But it's time for the last piece of the puzzle, or the second last piece of the puzzle. Now, obviously being a cottage pie, you're gonna top it with some form of potato, usually probably mashed potatoes like the traditional way. But when you're in the bush and you're looking for something a bit easier, either hash browns or potato gems is the go. I've opted for the hash browns, and we're literally just gonna lay these on top until we cover the whole dish. And it looks like it's gonna be a perfect fit. Now, I'm gonna whack this back on, and I'm gonna put heaps of hot coals on top in an attempt to brown them up a bit. So we'll see how we go. Well, that's the cheese on anyway. All right, so it's been on there for a while, probably a bit longer than it needed to be, but that's all right. And it looks like it's ready to go to me. So we'll serve it up and we'll see how it tastes, eh? Looks pretty good.
I think Scotty's primary school.
Look at this. Oh, perfect. We still use our primary school. Hang on. Come back. I still use our primary school plates at home as well. Does it taste all right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get a bit like, oh, I don't know if it's going to turn out. Oh, yeah. No, it's pretty good.
That looks incredible.
Well, the cottage pie was an absolute success, I would say anyway. Everyone enjoyed it, and we've got an empty camp oven, which is usually a good sign. So yeah, I reckon that'll probably do us for the night. Sit around the fire, and then I reckon we'll wake up to a wicked sunset, so I've got to set me alarm, I reckon, but...
Sunrise.
Did I say sunset? Oh, yeah. Tell you what, it's not often you get to wake up to mornings like this out of the rooftop tent.
A morning sunrise in the high country does not get much better than this. The way the colour of the mountains change as you look into the distance is a spectacular sight. We had another big day ahead, so we cooked up a hearty breakfast on the fire, Patrick did a few more tweaks to the 80, and then we continued on to our next spot.
So we were straight back onto the Dargo High Plains Road, heading down towards the Crooked River. We stopped into a few high country huts before arriving at the Grant Historic Area, which will be our gateway to the Crooked River Goldfields.
Alright, so I've arrived in the township of Grant, which you'll see there's not much left here today, but back in the 1860s, this was a hustling and bustling mining town. So at its peak, there were 2,000 people living here. There were hotels, pubs, oh yeah, you name it, it was here. But then fast forward a few decades later, when the gold eventually ran out, being such a remote town, it wasn't going to stay alive and essentially became a ghost town, and all the buildings disappeared, and that's what we're left with here today. That's the thing, you got to kind of sort of remember that a lot of the trails we're on, they're all put here for gold essentially, right? All these towns, all these tracks, these bridle tracks, all to transport gold, transport material in and out.
So the first track we headed down was Bulltown Spur Track, which took us down to the Crooked River and the old Bulltown Township.
Alright, here we go, low range first I reckon, boys. Alright, this is pretty steep.
My brakes are held on with a pair of King Chrome vice grips, and we're going down a very steep hill. So first gear, low range. We're going from around 1,100 meters down to probably 400, so it's quite a steep descent.
This would be hectic in the wet. Or like if you're like an 80 series driver with like just front brakes.
At least that's the one good thing about this. The conditions we have, nice and dry, it just means that there's lots of grip. You don't have to worry about sliding and the car running away from you.
And once we reached Bulltown, Liam spotted something pretty cool in the water.
Oh, look at the platypus. Look, come look at the platypus, quick. Straight ahead, look at him. Yeah. You ever see a platypus free swimming like that? Never. That's crazy.
He's great.
How's that? There's just a platypus free swimming through this crystal clear water on the Crooked River. Don't get to see that very often at all.
We then made some lunch, parked up on the old flats of Bulltown before our mission down the Crooked River.
Alright, we're now on the Crooked River track. I've been wanting to do this track for so long. It's got over 20 river crossings. They can get pretty deep depending on the time of year. But yeah, awesome. Goldfield country. I'm so hyped. This is going to be awesome.
Keen to do a couple of river crossings? Oh no, like 20.
Coming down to the first crossing and old mate's a bit stuck in front of us. It's a pretty rocky climb out.
Is this a Toyota thing on the other side there, Link? How they just can't drive up steep hills?
Oh, give him a break, he's got leaf springs. So there's another fella who we ran into actually earlier at Grant, and there's a bit of a sort of rocky, kind of, not super steep, but like a fair few holes, and your tyres get wet when you go through the river. So he's just running the winch out and going to winch himself up, and then we'll be able to pass through. So it's got me curious to see if any of us get stuck.
What's the score currently? What do we team for out of this?
Nissan's ahead by, I don't have enough fingers to count how many points we have.
We're all good. Yeah. I have full faith. You say things like that once you're home.
Alright, so we've got our first river crossing of the Crooked River, and we've got quite a steep little exit on the way out. So I'll be curious to see how the patrol goes on this one. A lot of weight on the back at the moment, and no lockers, and 33s.
My strategy for this was to start slow and see if I could crawl up, and if not, use a little bit of right foot.
Lovely, how good.
Alright, this one, you should be able to just walk. Pretty good little step there, but I reckon you'll be able to walk up it nice and smooth. Being able to have a locker. Just nice and slow.
Do you hit it with a bit of pace, you reckon? Or?
Nah, yours will literally be able to just crawl up this. It'll eat it up.
That just makes it look easy.
Almost.
Go from there, just give it a little bump.
That was good.
First crossing of the Crooked River. Might throw the locker in for this.
Well, first crossing we all got through successfully, so we'll drop down into the second one.
This is a grass little track. How pretty is the river?
Now these crossings in the early spring months, October and that, they can be bonnet deep. They're no joke, you don't want to be messing around with them. But this time of year, we're in, you know, autumn, they're all manageable. We got Lincoln with no snorkel on his car, and yeah, he's gonna be no worries.
As we continued along the Crooked River, we noticed a little sidetrack up to the new Good Hope mine.
So look, just a short walk up this track. Short.
See how far short is. Doing stuff like this is always a great reminder of how unfit you are. You're like, oh shit.
I need a reminder.
But eventually we reached the top.
No, they would have assembled it, surely. Or
I don't know, there was a photo at Grant that looked like they were literally rolling one down a hill.
from tree to tree.
But imagine holding that thing in here. Like that thing would have weighed a ton. Like those stamps alone, look how big they are.
We'd arrived at the new Good Hope mine, a mining operation that unfortunately didn't see much return, but the relics are still here to discover today.
Bit of a hike up, but worth checking it out because I mean we wouldn't be driving these tracks if they weren't down here mining gold. So yeah, it all goes back to gold. So cool to acknowledge the work that was done before us.
We got straight back into the Crooked River track as we still had another 10 or so crossings until we reached our camp for the night. It was at this point that the rains had started to set in, which when in the high country can cause the usually shallow creeks and rivers to rise rapidly. It would also turn the crossing entrances and exits from a dry climb into a muddy and slippery slope.
Whoa, that one's actually...
Alright, we got. That was pretty cool. Right, it looks pretty cool, doesn't it? It looks sick. Good little step up.
Bit of a run it out exit on this next crossing, and I'm the last one through, and I got the smallest tyres. It's probably the most chewed out. Patrol will get it done though. I've got faith. With the right foot up, no worries.
Oh boy, that hole was deeper than what I thought.
Yeah. That was bloody deep. Here we go.
Try and drop in delicately here.
Alright, now we're entering the old township of Talbotville, where we're going to set up camp for the night.
Is there a preferred spot in here or what?
Somewhere with a nice outlook of the river, perhaps with no widowmakers above. I hate camping under trees. Just can't help but shake that feeling that one's gonna fall on me. Oh, definitely earned this one after that walk up the hill.
We brought some nice alpine wood down so we get a good fire going for the night.
It's super interesting, like, so we're here in Talbotville, which this used to be like Grant and Bulltown, an old town, gold mining town, right? So the Crooked River goldfields were huge. So much gold was taken out of this place, and obviously all these towns spurred up to, you know, deliver resources for everyone, you know, pickaxe, shovels, food, accommodation, etc. My mate Stan, who you might have seen I did that documentary with, he actually used to come out here gold panning and going for gold. And when he used to come out here, there actually still used to be buildings. You could go inside of them. There was cookery everywhere in them. Like, it's like they literally ghost towned them. They got up and left, and they left the building still there. So there's no buildings left here. All you can see is a few fruit trees. There is this old cemetery out the back there as well. But yeah, there's not much left. But if you are passing through the high country in this area, definitely stop by Talbotville. So much camping here, so much open space. So if you've got a big group, it's a really great spot to come to. You can even get a little bit of phone service here if you're desperate as well. So very cool, highly worth checking it out.
So we got some dinner on and kept warm around the fire.
Swag life. It's actually been pretty good. It's very comfy. One thing I'd say though, I see Rob down there in his swag and he's got a stretcher, and I think if I was to keep doing all this swag camping, I'd have to get a stretcher, especially when you set some of these campsites. You know, they're not always dead flat. So you got a stretcher, you can pull up right next to the fire, stay warm, you're off the ground, you're keeping dry. Yeah, swags are awesome, but I reckon a stretcher would make it elite. Oh, me freaking, that's what I could hear. My exhaust man snapped off the exhaust. Oh, jeez. That's not good. I'll have to get some tie wire and tie it up. If everyone would have just seen the engineering video where I made this exhaust, obviously I didn't do a very good job welding. Clearly. That's why. Look at that. It's just put a hole in it. Wow.
Just had a bit of fence wire just in the ute, did you?
Oh, we keep a rack of wire. Yeah, it's a bit knocky, but it'll do.
Where's the next hanger?
It's got one.
Is that still in that must remember?
And that one snapped as well. Oh, yeah.
We were then back on the tracks heading towards Dargo.
Alright, so we're back on the Crooked River track, heading towards Randall's track. So we've got a few more crossings for you to do. Could be a little bit deeper these next ones as the river conjoins with other rivers. But then onto Randall's track, which I've never done before, but it's rated red on new tracks. Apparently it's quite steep. So had a bit of rain last night, so we'll see how we go.
Alright, so this is the first big crossing. The Crooked River is linked up with the Wanangata, so it will be a bit deeper. Potentially a bit deeper. Conditions are still good. It is a little bit deeper, definitely. Nothing really to worry about though.
These crossings are definitely get pretty deep in the springtime. Like, we haven't had rain in a while, and even then they're not a trickle of a river coming through, so you definitely want to be careful going through here in the spring months. Alright, so I've just turned onto Randall's track. Now this is going to take us from about 260 metres of altitude up into over 1,000. So it's going to be quite a steep climb. I looked at it on the Gaia GPS on like the elevation chart, and it's literally just like vertical straight up. So it'll probably be pretty steep, but we'll see how it goes.
Heading up Randall's track, you get some spectacular views looking back towards Talbotville and the Crooked River.
I definitely wouldn't say that this track has earned its red rating, but perhaps in the wet it's quite a bit different.
My God. That looks insane.
And there's a great clearing at the top to soak in those high country views.
So we're dropping on to our last track now, which is going to be Grady's Creek, which is going to be a bit of a downhill descent into the valley and then back out onto the main Dargo road. So
It's crazy, the high country. 1 minute you can be like, you can see as far as the eye can see, you're in your t-shirt. Next minute you're in the clouds, hoodie on, beanie back on. It's amazing how much this place can change in just one track.
alright, well here we are dropping down at the bottom, cross over the Grady's Creek, and then it's only a short little climb up to the other side and then we're back on the tarmac. So there you go. It's always a test after you've done a bit of forward driving when you get back on the bitumen, is the car still going to drive straight? Well, we're just rolling into the township of Dargo now, and I can't really think of too many better places to end a trip than at the good old Dargo pub, and by the looks it's quite busy today, so we'll see if we can get a spot out the front.
We're just in time for lunch.
Oh, perfect.
And of course, you can't go past the Dargo pub without grabbing yourself a loaded Palmer.
Alright, so I've made it to Dargo and it's at the end of our nice week in the high country. Done a lot of mountain stuff, a lot of river stuff, so you got a good sort of mix of everything out here.
Yeah, we pretty much covered like all like the bits of the high country that are cool. You get to see the nice as rivers, but then like the clear as, mountaintop views. So yeah, we did it all. Oh, what was the end result? Who do we think won? Toyota or Nissan?
I mean, we've got to calculate the scores here. I think we're...
Well, you need to calculate it from like 10 to 1. But
Yeah, that's it. I reckon Paddy had a few mechanical issues. I mean, my exhaust
who
broke.
drove
but
everything better? Like, let's just...
Patrols.
Leave the answer in the comments. Who did it better? And we'll see you all guys in the next episode.